All right. So funny enough, I'm in the hospital, but I'm actually in a much better frame of mind than the last time I posted. I've been here now at Medical City of Dallas for about 2 weeks, going on 2.5 weeks. It's been a long year, y'all. And it's good to see you, by the way. Hello. Still alive, still hanging in there. Um, don't have a whole lot to report on chickens and progress at the farm, unfortunately. We've kind of had to back off and take some time just to heal and rest and allow ourselves to get caught up. Um, but I did want y'all to know that I have not forgotten about you and let you know what's going on and maybe give you some advice or knowledge that I've gained over the last year. And a couple of things I've run across. They've got me on a full liquid diet, but one of the problems with a full liquid diet is that there's just not a lot of availability on options. For example, here at Medical City, Dallas, they unfortunately only have 2 full liquid soups. Now, there's lots of other things like yogurts and puddings and jellos, and some of that would be considered clear liquid, like the jello would be considered clear liquid, but the pudding would be considered a full liquid. But right now I'm limited to like warm things, so a lot of those options are limited or eliminated altogether. And that puts me pretty much at butternut squash soup, which they have an excellent butternut squash soup here, do not get me wrong, but after 12 days of it, it gets old and you start getting kind of desperate. So I have found an option or two that you can actually mix up using the soft food diet and create a liquid diet if you get your doctor to order it that way. And I'm going to go over that here in a little bit when the ingredients arrive and show you how to mix that up and hopefully add a nice savory third option to tomato soup and butternut squash soup. I'm also not supposed to eat tomato soup. Apparently it can cause gas and has a lot of acid, and I'm supposed to avoid that. So let me backtrack a little bit on kind of how we ended up here. So, I've been struggling with gastroparesis where my stomach is paralyzed and just doesn't move food properly through it. And a lot of that problem also caused gastroesophagus reflux disease, or GERD, G-E-R-D. That's gastroesophagus reflux disease. And that has caused damage to my esophagus, which could lead to a condition called Barrett's esophagus, which ultimately can lead to cancer. So we're trying to avoid and stop throat cancer from developing for obvious reasons. Nobody wants cancer of any kind. And this is an easy one that if you can catch it early, you can actually prevent and even repair the damage and not have to go through a lot of the associated issues with that and complications. So I'd like to talk a little bit for just a moment here about a procedure called a Nissen, N-I-S-S-A-N. I'll put that up on the screen, like probably above my head there, so that you can see that and look it up. It is basically, they take your stomach, they raise it up, and they wrap it around your esophagus to secure it in place. And I ended up with a hiatal hernia where the stomach was trying to push up through the diaphragm, through the hole in the diaphragm. I don't know if y'all know this, but the esophagus actually runs through the diaphragm into the stomach. So the stomach's on one side of the diaphragm, the esophagus is on the other side. And that can come dislodged with EDS, wonderful side effect of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Everything is loose and stretchy and just comes out of place and repositions itself randomly. And my stomach has always been an issue, and with all the throwing up, that's one of the things that can happen. So that's kind of where I'm at. In order to repair and correct that, they have done the Nissen Fundoplication. Now, usually that procedure takes about anywhere from 2 to 3 months to fully recover from. I got some complications from it, of course. The spot where they did the wrap itself, the fundoplication, swelled up and would not allow anything, not even like apple juice or water, clear fluids, wouldn't even go through into my stomach. So basically, they backed up into the esophagus and caused dilation where the esophagus itself just swelled up enough to accommodate whatever liquids were building up in it. And that only goes so far, and then you're throwing that up, and instead of it coming out of the stomach, it's coming out of the esophagus, and nothing's getting into the stomach. So this continued on for about 6 to 7 weeks or so. And we just finally got desperate enough to the point where we had to do something, and was literally starved to death, despite the fact that I was trying to eat and get things down. It just was not getting down. They ended up implanting a feeding tube Friday. It's now Monday, so that was about 3 days ago. It's the 27th, so that happened on the 24th. And the recovery from that was almost just the instant relief overnight. Just getting something in my stomach. I'm going to show you my feeding supplies here. This is basically what I'm living off of. This is clear fluids here. They do that as a flush, but you can see on the other side there, that bottle. And these are just sterile wipes right here. But this is basically going directly into my stomach and providing me the nutrients that I actually need to survive. Now, hopefully this is short term and will only last for a couple of weeks. And if not, they've put in what's called I'll let y'all look it up. I'm not going to show you pictures. It's very graphic. But hopefully here in a couple of weeks, the swelling will go down, and we can come off of that. But if not, they've implanted something called a Mickey GJ. That's gastric jejunum. Jejunum is a bottom part of the stomach where it dumps into the large intestines. I'm trying not to get too technical here, but hopefully the swelling will go down. In the meantime, this is basically bypassing the esophagus and going directly into the stomach, even directly into the jejunum, so that I don't have to worry about my stomach eating itself. If you go too long without getting anything in your stomach will start to digest its own stomach lining. It will literally eat itself alive, and that is, for obvious reasons, bad. You can develop ulcers and all kinds of other problems. Lots of all kinds today. There's a lot of random to this. So some of the medications that they've had me on to try to counter the pain and nausea and swelling. I think the most effective thing they've had me on so far has been a medication called Robaxin, and it's actually a muscle relaxer, and it goes in, it has when I take it anyway, it's being pushed through my Mediport. I don't know if y'all know this. Let me show you this. It's called a Mediport, and it goes directly into a vein in my chest right up here. There's a little lump right there you can see. Again, very graphic, so I'm not going to show y'all all the gory details, but it goes directly in there, and that way they don't have to blow up IV through the veins, and we can spare a lot of the bruising and damage to the vascular system. So you'll have to forgive me, my fingers dried out from I'm not sure what, either the medication or the fabric cleaner or something. It's fine. My fingers are fine. They're just bandaged up because the edges dried out and started bleeding a little bit, and I was getting blood spots on stuff. So don't worry about my hands. They look ugly right now. My nails look great, but can't tell. Whatever. Life. So Robaxin has been probably the greatest thing they've given me to help, other than getting the feeding started itself. And as soon as they started that feeding tube going and getting something in my stomach, I got like instant relief. My head started to clear. I started to be able to think more logically and emotionally less controlled. The hospital staff has been great here too. I've got some other things to kind of show off a little bit that they kind of spoiled me on, I guess. I'm a little unusual. Y'all might think I'm a little crazy by the time this is over with, if you didn't already. It's all the chickens and everything. Can't wait to get back and show you what we have gotten done with the chickens. We're still working on, I'm calling it Twisted Silky Tower. We have unfortunately lost all of our coach end. And we're going to have to reboot that entire project. And we still have the silkies. I did lose my leg bar breeding roosters this year as well. I just haven't been able to keep up with it. It's just been too much with the health issues. I've really had to focus on my health and getting better and just trying to maintain what we've got. We tried free ranging the chickens. That did not work at all, full free range. We ultimately ended up putting them into lockdown. That is neither here nor there. I'm going to try to get back on track. Sorry. So other medications they've given me. There's a medication called Decadron. Now, the thing is, Decadron is a steroid. Steroids sound great. They reduce swelling. They reduce some inflammation, and they do provide relief. The problem with steroids is over long term, they can destroy your immune system, and you develop infections and things in all kinds of other places. So I've had some dental work, and I've got some bone spurs that are trying to come in, and they're having a difficult time healing because of that. Because of the steroids. And so that's just like one small example. There's some other minor infections, like little boo-boos that won't heal up, or the fingers that dry out and bleed and won't heal up, or sinus infections that just drain, or a little bit of an upper chest congestion. That kind of little thing that kind of adds up over time and can get worse if not dealt with immediately. So they put me on antibiotics. I've been through a couple different kinds. We just finished one called Mirazapine. It's a push instead of a drip. So instead of going through the IV, it goes directly in a timed manner through a syringe. Sounds great. Antibiotics sound great. They kill infection, which it did do that. It did help with the infection. But again, medication long-term effects is it also destroys your natural biome and your natural immune system. So now I'm going to have to recover my digestive flora. So lots of probiotics and things like that to look forward to in the future. Pain management. I'm allergic to like everything under the sun. If I was not allergic to everything under the sun, my best bet would be probably codeine or something along those lines, but I am unfortunately allergic to codeine and hydrocodone, so that has limited me there as well. They have had me on morphine with an oxycodone kind of as needed for pain management. So I'm not hurting y'all. They're doing a great job of managing my pain and managing the swelling and getting everything down. And I am on the road to recovery. So nobody panic. Nobody freak out. I'm not going anywhere. I'm too stubborn for that. Y'all know this. But, and I'm staying positive, and I'm going to show you some things that have helped with that, as well as just increasing my diet, which is what started this whole thing. Increasing options for food. Doesn't seem like much, but you'd be amazed how much a cup of broth means to you when you get to where you can't eat anything, and then it's like suddenly you can start to try to get some stuff down, but you're still stuck with the butternut squash and the tomato soup option, and you're like, if I have to see butternut squash, I'm never growing another butternut squash again, guys. Like, it's going to be a few years. And okay, so nausea control. Reglan is a good one to go to. It really, really is. It acts as not only a nausea control, but it helps increase motility in the lower digestive system, which encourages movement, which encourages digestion. So always good, and helps kind of regulate that. That's how I remember the name. Reglan regulates digestion. The other thing that they've been giving me is Zofran. Now, Zofran is a wonderful a wonderful medication. It can be given as a pill. Just swallow it down, wait for it to work. Or it can be given as IV, push it in, instant work. Or it can be given as what's called ODT. I call it on the tongue, but it's actually orally disintegrating tablet. And it goes under the tongue and dissolves slowly over time. And then I say over time, but it's like seconds, and then it works a little bit quicker. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's also available as a suppository. Reglan is available as a liquid or pill or a syringe push. I'm currently getting it as a syringe push, but if I need to at home, I can take it as either the liquid or the pill option. I usually go for the pill option at home. Right now, I'm not currently handling pills very well. With everything they've got me on, I'm starting to get down clear fluids finally after 7 weeks. And I'm looking at probably another 2 weeks or so before the swelling is down enough that I can get larger pills down. We're very optimistic and hopeful. They're looking at sending me home either tomorrow afternoon or possibly Wednesday morning. So it'll have been almost exactly 2.5 weeks in Dallas Medical City. In Dallas, Texas. I'm trying to think. Y'all can see the smoke, I'm sure. I'm thinking brain cells just burning away. Protonics help with GERD. You can take those to control GERD before it gets to this point. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. It did delay a lot of this for me. It bought me some time, but ultimately didn't work to stop it and prevent it. But we're going back on that. My kids have been fabulous. My husband has been amazing. My parents are above and beyond the top. And the chaplains here have been amazing. The nurses have been amazing. The entire staff has been amazing. I can't say amazing enough. My doctors have been amazing. They have allowed me to go creative, crazy on my wall, which I will show y'all here in a few moments. And we'll get into detail and I'll really kind of dive into that because I'm kind of proud of it. A little shocked at myself at the same time. So he is still with us. Happy, go lucky, giant, 75-pound, fuzzy ball poodle. This is apricot and goofy as he always has been. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing him. He's going to be the first thing I cuddle when I get home. And our Cloudy is doing great, bouncing around. I hear that he misses me, and I can't wait to see him too and cuddle him. And we have 2 other cats. Sophia is my son's cat. She is our little hellfire and keeps us active and busy. I grumble about her all the time because she's still a kitten and a little bit on the destructive side as kittens can be, but very sweet-natured and a great addition to our home. And we have a third cat now that's technically claimed my husband, and her name is Ashley. She started off as Ash because we thought she was a boy, so we're going to name her Ash Ketchum, catch all the mice, which is her name, mouse array. She came from under the house. She was one of the litters from under the house. We found homes for the other 3 or 4 kittens that were bored, but we decided to keep her. She is a beautiful little mixed Siamese, and I'll try to share pictures of her and Sophie and Cloudy together on the couch here in this video, so you can see them and get to meet all of them. Gosh, just so much to update. We got animals, we got art, we got medical, we got a little bit of side bed cooking mixture Scientology project, not Scientology, just science experimental chemistry project right here that I want to share. And the chaplains come by, and I I even got a new Jeep this year, so some definite positive news to add to all this. I got a brand new Jeep. I'm very excited about my Jeep. I named it Bella. It's purple. It's a Gladiator. And I've never owned a new vehicle in my entire life. Never thought I would have an opportunity to. So another call out to my parents they're financing it and I'm paying them back. So it wasn't a gift, but I would not have been able to do it without their assistance. So that was a huge deal. And of course I've got ducks on it. If y'all want to send ducks, I'm going to be ducking. There's actually these ducks on Amazon. They're Jesus ducks, and it's like ducks, but they're like dressed like Jesus with a beard and everything. And they got a sash that says "I love Jesus," or no, Jesus loves you. And there's a set of them there's 24 of them on Amazon. I want to get those so that we can go Jeep ducking. And what that is where you go around looking for other Jeeps and you put the Jeep duck on the Jeep. And it's in the Jeep world, that means that I like your Jeep. I think it's cool, A. And B, I hope you have a nice day. And I want to use a Jeep as a way to glorify God and testify, because that's what my parents are doing. They are using this Jeep as a way of honoring our Lord and praising Him and just being good people and making provision for something that I would not have been able to do otherwise under any circumstances. Even if it was a used vehicle, I would just be stuck with that escape. Jeep has been a much better experience. Now, I will warn you, if you buy a Jeep, comes with a warranty. Get the warranty. It's a good warranty. Okay? But it's called a bumper-to-bumper warranty, and the sales rep warned me it does not cover the bumpers. Yes, you heard me correctly. It's a bumper-to-bumper warranty that does not cover the bumpers, and I have discovered why. Because the standard bumper on the Jeep is not what it looks like. It is eggshell thin, and it will break and crack if you kick it wrong. In my case, my foot slipped from the gas from the brake to the gas while trying to park. It bunny hopped a parking speed bump thing like it didn't even exist, crashed into a giant wooden box, and busted the entire right quarter. 5 miles from 1,000 miles on my thing. So mad. I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you know that bumper-to-bumper warranty that was on the Jeep? The one that doesn't cover the bumper? He's like, yeah, I broke the bumper. So, he's promised me that come June or July, we're going to replace the bumper. And I think this is why every Jeep you see has an aftermarket bumper, is because the bumpers suck, okay, Jeep? Your bumpers suck. Would it be too hard to put a steel bumper on this awesome vehicle? I'll pay more. I got to pay more anyway to replace the bumper. I would have gladly put that in the first place, and maybe like you could have given me some options, like right up front. Which one do you like? You know, takes y'all seconds. I was gonna have to take the bumper off the rear anyway because it didn't come with a trailer hitch, and that's the other thing. Sales rep, love you to death. I asked you if it could tow. You said yes. You were right. It can. After I put a bumper hitch on, which in order to do, you must remove the bumper. So I got to take the bumper off anyway to put a trailer hitch on my Jeep so I could haul the way it was supposed to be able to haul the day I bought it. And I did need that hauling thing. Like 3 weeks after I got the Jeep, we were blessed with some moped scooters, but they were in Austin, so I needed to be able to pull a trailer, and I couldn't pull a trailer because I had no bumper hitch. Struggles. So much fun. Keeps life interesting, guys. It really does. Life's been interesting. I cannot say I'm bored, not for 1 second. God has been so good to me. I know at one point I got so desperate through this that I was literally screaming to the Lord, heal me or take me. I can't live like this, not another day. And I'm so glad that He chose to heal me and not take me, because other good news, we have a second grandbaby on the way. He is due August 19th, and I will give you a follow-up on that here in a little bit. In the meantime, lunch is here, so I'll talk to you later. Okay, sitting up, staring at this plate of food they just brought me. So let me show you what they bring first, and then I'll explain kind of how you get to this point and what all's involved. So let me flip the camera.
All right, so this is what they bring you initially. This is just a basic tray. This is considered part of the full liquid diet right here. This is mashed potatoes. Just basic mashed potatoes. You have to request it in a side like this, and it would be part of the full liquid diet. Now right here, this is vegetable broth, and it's just broth, guys, nothing special. And right here, we've got, this should be, yes, did not dump it, beef broth. Now, I haven't tried this with beef broth or the vegetable broth, so we're going to do a little experiment together like that. This is part of the liquid diet, full liquids. It's a Greek yogurt. You can get it in peach, blueberry, strawberry, or vanilla. And I like the peach best. It does have some fruit in it, but it's like so soft it breaks down real easy. So that's a good way to replenish probiotics, gut flora, Chobani, Okio. A couple other brands down and are really good about that, so that's a great thing. It's part of the full liquid diet. Clear liquid, soft food, full liquid. Full liquid, clear liquid, full liquid. So this is a good way to get protein. I'm not overly fond of them, but if you can chug it, it's not totally unpalatable. Right now, I can't handle a lot of cold things, so I've got to kind of let these warm up to room temperature. And the tray will generally come with butter, salt, and pepper. Okay. Now, I flick this camera back around. You can get these little seasoning packets by McCormick's. They're called seasoning blends, and Signature Seasoning Blend by McCormick's. Doesn't have any salt in it. You have to add the salt if you want it, pepper, whatever. You have to request it, and I didn't request it today, so I can't show you that, but I can tell you about it. And it's a really good addition to this. So basically, you're going to need a couple extra things that they're not going to bring you, and that's just cups or bowls, because you got to be able to mix. And they are going to send you some silverware. It's going to come in a plastic container like this. And you're going to need the fork and the spoon. You don't really need the knife, so got to open. Get the fork out. I'm going to try to do this with one hand. Fork. They're nothing spectacular. Disposable. Recyclable. That's good. It's not a recycling can in here. Maybe and then obviously to eat it with. Come out of the package. You'll need a spoon. So we're going to set all this cold stuff aside for now. We don't need it. And we're going to focus on prepping our meal. Which is, you're going to be amazed how easy this is, guys. Like, kitchen staff, please, 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 nutrition, pay attention. You can double, even more than that, flavor profiles and options for your full liquid patients just by incorporating this trick, using ingredients you already have on hand that will not take long. I know y'all can't carry the potato soup all the time, but you have potatoes, mashed potatoes, every single day. Now I'm going to go through here. Once I get out, this isn't going to be posted for a few days, guys. I'll be out of the hospital by the time y'all see this. But when I get out, I'm going to post some facts about nutritional value of all of this, so you can actually see the nutritional value and intake. And one of the reasons I went ahead today and decided to do the vegetable broth as well as the beef broth is to up that nutrient count. We're going to kind of split it. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out how to set this camera up so I can use both hands. Give me a sec. Just in frame and not jostle it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a broth, whatever kind we're going to use, and we're going to pour it into the cup, maybe a quarter of it or so. Now that was the vegetable. We're going to do the same thing with our meat broth. which again, I'm usually using chicken, but I'm trying something different, so we're gonna use beef. So there's a beef broth, and equal portion, about that much. Comes out to a little less than half container. That's actually good broth. They do a good job making the broth. The broth is really good. I think it's actually from meat, not like a mix, you know. All right, now you're gonna take your one of those same containers. Set this aside for later. And I brought 2 because I've got so much going here, so we're just gonna do this twice. So like half of that is left. Half of that is left. Alright, and let me show you where that puts us here. So that gives us 2 cups of mixed broth and 2 bowls of plain broth. Now we're going to take the plain broth and we're going to dump that in there like that. So we now have 3 containers, in this case, of mixed broth. So what do we do with this? Now we got broth. We got lots of mixed broth. What do we... First thing we do is not drop our phone. And we're going to take these mashed potatoes right here. And we're going to get about half, maybe a third, because we got 3 containers. So we're going to take a third of our mashed potatoes and we're going to just put it in the broth. Like so. And again, we're going to make a mess, but it is what it is. That's what napkins are for. They will provide you all the napkins you could ever hope for in life. They're actually extremely accommodating at this hospital if you just work with them. The thing is that if you're on a full liquid diet, your doctor has to order this as a soft food diet in order to order this. But then you got to be responsible and not order a bunch of stuff you can't eat. So they've got grilled salmon here, is pretty soft. The grilled chicken's pretty soft. They have chicken salad, tuna salad. There's a big old menu right here. It's going to be backwards because life. And it's broken down by time of day. I'll try to flip the screen so you can read this, but there are other options. Other menu options. Hang on. Okay, IT showed up. My computer's been defunct for about 4 days, and it's hopefully going to get that scanner working. It's the only thing that's not working right is the scanner. The whole rest of the system's working. The nurses have a push station that they can bring in. They've been using it, and they've been very good with that. So, all right, back to our little science experiment here. So, try to set this up again. All right. There we go. All right. So, catch it back up. We've got 2 different broths and the potatoes in the container right here, and it looks like a hot mess this second, but it'll get better. We're going to take the salt, and we're going to dump it in because I am a salty girl. And normally this is where I would use those McCormick seasoning packets I was telling you about. Those things are excellent. McCormick's, good job. Please make that available in a larger size. I want lots of them. I'm definitely buying some of that at the house. It's amazing what you discover and where. But in this case, I'm going to use pepper because I don't have anything else. So we're going to see what pepper does. So we got pepper, salt, potatoes, vegetable broth, and beef broth all together in one bowl. And we're going to take our very twisted little fork here. I'm not sure what happened to my fork. That's funny. It's a lip stabber, but whatever. And we're going to just... Let me get this camera where you can see what I'm doing here. I can use one hand for this. Right, so it looks like a hot mess right now. And you're just going to start breaking it up and pulling it together very gently. Use the sides of the bowls. These are not the strongest bowls on the planet, so if you press too hard, they will go to hell. So be careful. I'll speed all this up so that y'all aren't watching me stir for a hot minute here. It doesn't take long, but it seems like forever in a video, so. Now this is a vegetable beef potato mix. I've done the chicken before and it is really good, especially with I can't rave enough about those seasoning packets. They were just really good. And they added like an extra zip to it that it was very nice. So there you go, just like that. So simple. All together that took, of course it's sped up for the video, but all together I would say that took about 30 seconds to mix. And probably would have gone faster than that if I hadn't been rambling the entire time. But there you go, just like that. And boom, whole potatoes, new dish. Lovely potato soup. Looks just like that. Nice and smooth and creamy. And super, super easy to digest. This is one of the few things I have actually been able to get into my stomach without having to fight it to oblivion. So I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me mix all of these and eat. I'm just going to let you go at this point. But let me try one bite to see if this experiment worked. And you can tell me by the look on my face if I failed or not. That's good. That is actually really good. It's creamy and rich, and I can taste the broths, the meat, and the vegetables. And the potatoes give it just enough substance that I don't feel like I'm drinking my food instead of eating it. And I can't wait to actually get in and do the research to find out what the nutritional value of this is and share it with you. You too, thank you. And hopefully my computer's working now. Yay! Just in time for me to go. The next person will be happy. It's all good. I'll get a snapshot of my insanity back there. We'll get to that. It's not going to be a super long video, probably maybe 20-30 minutes, but, well, I guess longer than that. We'll figure it out. It's all good. It's been a while. I missed y'all. I really did. I missed doing these videos. But life. Alright. You've seen my face. You saw the mixing process. You saw what's involved. I've told you how to order it. You order a side of mashed potatoes. Side of broth. Be sure to order the packet. You have to order it. If you forget to order it, you're getting salt and pepper. Order the packet. It's McCormick's. Perfect blend, seasoning blend. Great job, McCormick's. Really good. Really good. Big thumbs up. Works great. And I'm going to eat this. And probably the other 2 bowls too, because I'm hungry. And then show you some art. Talk to you then. Just like butternut squash is going to get old, so is this after a while. No matter how good it is, no matter how much you mix it up. I mean, you got chicken, beef, and vegetable to mix with here with your potato soup. That gives you 3 new options, and if you blend those, that kind of maybe gives you like 5 more flavor profiles. And with the seasoning packets and the salt and pepper options, it kind of ups that too. But again, after a while, you're going to get sick and tired of potato soup. So I had to come up with some breakfast stuff. So I can't show you because it's past breakfast. And I don't think I'm going to have time in the morning. But I did want to tell you about something I discovered. You can get the cream of wheat. Alright? I'm not a big cream of wheat fan, to be honest. Like, I'm really not. But if you get it while it's still hot and fresh and it's still kind of creamy before it's kind of lumpy and stuff, it's not bad to mix with stuff. And if you can get them to send up the butternut squash soup, it actually mixes really well with the cream of wheat, like, surprisingly enough. The butternut squash soup here is like really sweet, and then the cream of wheat is like creamy and smooth. So by the time you mix them together, you end up with this kind of sweet mixture. It's like an oatmeal savory dish, and it's good. It's not bad at all. So that kind of ups your breakfast menu just a little bit. You can also mix other things into that same cream of wheat, like your yogurts will actually mix in with your cream of wheat as well. And then yogurts, of course, are good. Now, if you can't do cold stuff, you're gonna have to let them get warm. Be careful, guys. Don't let your food go bad before you eat it. There's a refrigerator here. Ask the nurse to store stuff if you gotta wait a little while. Like, sometimes I gotta wait for my nausea meds to kick in before I can actually get anything in my stomach. and keep it down. So if you gotta wait for that, put your stuff in the fridge and nuke it, like microwave it, just before you're ready to use it. They have labels and everything here that you can put on your food. It's a really secure environment. There's a lock on the fridge, so nobody's going to be able to go in and mess with your stuff. And I really like the setup they've got in the nourishment room. I'm not sure what they call it, but I'm really impressed with their setup here. They've got most everything except for seasoning packets. I'm not going to get off the seasoning packets, okay? They were good. That should be like a thing. It's a big thing. It's amazing what little things make such a big impact when you're in a situation like this. So that's one option, or a few options there to kind of up your breakfast game a little bit. The tomato soup's not bad if you can hold acid and you can handle a little extra gas, because tomatoes cause gas. And one of the main problems with surgery is gas pains. But you can overcome those in other ways, like, gas X and medicine. The Protonics will help. But if you don't have problems with the gas and you can handle a little bit, the tomato soup does mix with other things, but it's a little bit more complicated. It does not mix well with the cream of wheat. It does mix well with the potatoes, though, so you end up with kind of a tomato bisque kind of effect in the end, which is not terrible, and tones down the acid some. So that's another way to get more flavor profiles into your diet. Honestly, guys, there's not a lot you can do about texture at this stage with what we're going through here, but you can change flavor profiles, and that does make a immense impact on like your mental state. Just how you feel about the situation affects your stress level. That does affect your hormones, which does affect your ability to heal. So if you can bring yourself even a minor amount of comfort in something tiny like that, it can make a huge impact on how quickly you recover. And I just wanted to throw that out there real quick before I finished up. And yeah, I think you get it. I'll be back with the art soon. Bye. I'm standing. Yay. All right. So I wanted to show you, the art that I keep promising. But real quickly, they did get my computer working, by the way. And then my call light went out. So we're trying to figure that out. But in the meantime, the nurse's station is like, boom, right out the door. And they're really responsive and great about getting to me if I call out. So I try not to scream like a banshee all the time and be low maintenance here, but yeah, that happened. But I wanted to show you one of the problems that I've run into is you do need to walk after surgery a lot. When they do surgery, they put a bunch of gas in there, kind of fills you up and allows the doctors to have space to work. But that gas has to come out, and they try to vent as much of it off as possible, but they can't get it all. And really the only way to get it out is to work it out, and that means walking. So that's not normally a problem, especially since my miracle. Every step's a blessing to this day. I still get real excited about that. That has never faded in the whole time. But when you're dragging an IV pole, you're kind of dragging spaghetti. Now, for a while there, they had the feeding pump. They had something called Clinomix, which is a huge, and I mean huge, it seems like a cow udder, bag of clear fluids. And they've got to be up high, and they weigh some weight, so it's kind of top heavy. And they've got wheels on the bottom that are really widespread, so it doesn't tip super easy, but you got to be careful about like lifting it over little bitty ledges and things like that. And on top of that, those bags, each one has a pump. So I had 3 pumps, the bag of saline, a bag of tube feeding, the Clinomix, and then the pole itself. Those pumps come with power cords in addition to hosing. Now, power cords, you trip, you yank them out of the wall, it's inconvenient. It's kind of dangerous if you fall. That's not good. But the hosing is dangerous. If you trip over it and yank it out, you got a problem. In fact, at one point, my Metaport, was hooked up to the pole and running consistently using the Clinomix. That's how they were getting the Clinomix in me. Clinomix is also called TPN. Please don't ask me what it stands for. I can tell you it's IV nutrients. They're very hard on your body. Those are the ones I was telling you about that filter through the kidneys and liver and can ultimately cause some other problems. You don't want to be on them for very long, 2, maybe 3 weeks at the most if you can avoid it, less than that. I was on them for a little less than 2 weeks. So pretty much the maximum time you want to be on them. And we just got off those yesterday. Score. Big deal there. Not only did that eliminate, because the Clinomix has to run with the clear fluids at the same time. So technically I had 2 bags of clear fluids, one for the feeding tube and one for the Clinomix, whatever in between. Dilution, whatever you want to call it. This pole was crazy full. I mean, there was not an inch on the pole that you couldn't see, or that you could see. And there were hoses running everywhere. And I was terrified that I was going to trip over them. And as I was saying, I did at one point get my Metaport caught up under my thigh, and I would try to stand. It popped it out, like smooth pulled it out. Now, Metaports, they do what's called accessing. So it's like a permanent thing inside your skin, but they go in from the outside like an IV, and it just kind of plugs into this little button thing right there. That is subject to being pulled out. There is tape and stuff they can put over it, but it only goes so far. You put enough tension on it, it's going to come out. That can be dangerous on a lot of levels. It can also destroy your Metaport by ripping a hole through the stuff in the middle that they go through, and you can ultimately have to have another surgery to replace it. Now, I didn't do that, so don't panic. We're good there. I managed to just pop it out, and we were able to get it back in within a couple hours. They just had to disconnect me and wait for a specialist. It can't be done by just anybody. They have to be qualified for it to come up and re-access, is what they call it. Re-access that port. Sorry if I look crazy, guys. So that took a few hours to get situated, but once we got it situated, it was all fine. Everything's working great. And I was on the TPN for, I think, another 3 or 4 days afterwards. So it worked great. They've been still able to give me all of my IV meds through it. So that's good too. Now, here's why I'm bringing this up. Controlling these hoses. There is stuff you can do. Let me show you. So, back up here as far as it'll let me. This is the pole. This is what an IV pole looks like for anybody who's never seen one. This is a feeding pump for tube feeding. And you can see it's got 2 hoses that run up. This one here is the one that's connected to me. And this hook is what I'm going to get to right here. We'll get to that. And then this is where it actually goes into the machine. And you can see there's 2 different lines. So this is a flush. And what that means is that periodically this machine will flip over and go from pumping this one through, which is the feed. This is my actual nutrients. This is what I'm living off of right now. This is food. This particular one is just osmolite. I don't want to share too many personal details, but it's called osmolite. And then this is just saline. It's not saline, it's it's saline, but it's not like spring water. So, this is distilled medical stuff. Hang on, I've got the bottle. I can show you the bottle. I'm unhooked for now. Right there. So it says sterile water for irrigation. And this is some of the equipment that comes with the feeding tube. This is a push to kind of push water through. This is a different kind of flush. And they just fill this bottle here with enough to fill this syringe. And it just plunges in there, sucks the stuff out, and goes through part of the port. And so there's all that. And the kit comes with a bunch of different things. Some of them for cleaning, some of them for actual use. you know, that kind of thing. So all of that'll come. Your nurse, if you have to go through this, will explain it. They're actually really good about walking you through it and teaching you what you're looking at. In fact, I'm waiting. One of the reasons we're holed up here and not home quite yet, or sure when we're going to get home quite yet, is because we're waiting to find out when the supplies will be delivered to the house. Sorry, trying not to be distracted here, but I'm a little OCD. And it's taken a while for the insurance, not the hospital, not the home health, the insurance. The insurance is going to be your greatest adversary. They're your friend. They'll pay for the stuff. But they're going to make you run through hoops that are on fire and spinning in the middle of the air, chasing them with God knows what. And you're going to have a hard time finding somebody to intervene and step in and work with you. So if you are self-representing like I am, that's not conducive to healing. So that is a challenge you're going to have to prepare for. I strongly recommend getting somebody in place who's familiar with your insurance company, familiar with your doctors, making sure all your ducks are in a row. Get everything lined up so you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling to deal with logistics and paperwork and bureaucracy in the middle of trauma. And in a lot of ways, that's where we're at. That said, in the midst of the battle with insurance, we are stuck here waiting on delivery of this equipment. And that equipment includes this pump, or a pump. It doesn't have to be this one, although I really hope I get this one. I got to admit, Kangaroo, Omni, big improvement over 10 years ago, the last time I had a feeding tube. This is much better. This does not force me to have to stop and manually flush with that plunger thing. It does it all automatically. And that's where we were at before I got distracted again, is these hoses. So flush, feed, both go down into this, and then it comes out here and runs to the patient. Now, wires will come off the back of the equipment, and they're long. I've got this one tied up, and that's part of what I want to show you. You can tie this stuff up. Use the hooks right in here and loop it over, and then use that strap. So if you've got to go anywhere, this gets it out from under your wheels. You're not going to be rolling over your cables, and off the floor and out from between your legs, so you're not tripping over spaghetti. So the hoses can also get a little long. The feeding hose, the feeding tube, isn't that bad. I've only got maybe, I'm pretty much maxed out. It's at the bottom of the gown here. Technically, it would be like another 2 feet taller where it goes in, but there's not a split in the gown. So that gives me about, I'd say 5 feet or so of run here. And then obviously the pole, if it's disconnected, will go just about anywhere. Once it's connected, that power cable gives you about another 10 feet, so you can get maybe 15 feet from the wall with the pole connected. So if you're walking around and you've got the other kind of hose, the normal ones for a normal IV or running through your PICC line or your Mediport or, whatever access you've got for IV, those hoses can get really long. All right, they can be like 10, 15 feet long. They can get as long as they want. They are a massive spaghetti pile. So there's things you can do so you're not tripping over those and risking ripping anything out or damaging anything. So just like the Mediport can be pulled out, so can the feeding tube. And unfortunately, that almost guarantees, like if you pull out your feeding tube, you are in surgery, period. It has to be surgically replaced or repaired. That is not something they can just re-access quickly. So you don't want to do that. So you got to keep this stuff safe and free from hanging up. Now, I have discovered a trick. The nurses don't all know about this, but do you see this hook? It's a hook right there, so simple, comes up and has a little loop at the top. It loops over these little S things, comes around and just goes over. I've got mine going the other way, but you get the idea. On the top there, and can pull straight or can be pulled up and hooked, you know, any number of ways like that. And then you can use this bottom part to even shorten it more. Now, right now the feeding pump is so short line that I need the extra length. But what this allows me to do is pull the feeding pump up where it goes to the patient, snag that hook, if it'll let me, just like that. Now look at that. I'm going to flip it. Of course I did it backwards, but one-handed. Boom, just like that. That reduces my length down to about 2 or 3 feet. But if I'm walking around the hospital, coming full circle here, if you are walking around the hospital, working off gas from surgery, you don't need to be that far from your pump. You need to have your hand on this pole because that is your support. That is what's going to give you stability and courage, frankly, to walk down the hall and know you're not going to dump your pole over. Know that you're not going to fall over. It gives you some, you know, a rail to hold on to and steady yourself with. So you want the pole close at hand. You do not want to get that far away from it, but you don't want all those hoses wrapped around your legs, being tripped over and caught on stuff that you're walking past or rolling up under your tires. These are all issues that you're going to run across with a setup like this. So getting stuff tied up shorter for motion is a big deal. And these hooks right here, if you can get your hands on one of those, they're easy to come by. They've got them at the nurses' station. They should have them at almost all the nurses' stations, and will allow you to do that without too much problems. And gives you a variety of ways you can arrange that and set it up so that you're more comfortable and safer walking around. So that's a tip there. I don't lose my mind. It's been a while, guys. It's been a long time in here. All right, last thing I want to show you about this pole, you may have noticed these. There are different kinds of alcohol wipes. I'm gonna rip one of these off. My nurse won't care. There are different kinds of alcohol wipes. Now you got your standard alcohol wipes. So you've got your standard alcohol wipes. They're fine. They're great. They take longer. You have to scrub more on the site, and they're not quite as strong, you know, they're not quite as effective, but they do the job. So if you don't have these, it's okay. But there are these right here. They even say device swabs on them. All right. They're tiny. They're small. They've got a little hook they hang. They're very convenient. They come in a little strip. You can rip them off as you go. And they don't take near as much work, and they do a lot better job. They get things a lot more sanitary. Ideally, you'll want to have like it's called a green cap, but I haven't come across those. They're hard to come by, and they don't carry them very often. You kind of get them specialty whatever, and they're not going to do that for you. They're just not. It's too much effort when they can just bust one of these out and go for it. But if you have the option, request these. They work better. And they're safer. And they'll get you a more sanitary result. So that's kind of a big deal. Small, but big. It's these little things, guys. All these little things. They add up. They really do. You'd be amazed. So, all right. We're almost done, I swear. Last thing I want to talk about before I get out of here and before I'm done with this video is emotional and mental stability. If you're in the hospital for a long time, there are things you can bring with you and things you can do that the hospital will provide or that you can bring from home that will help. Crosswords, word searches, coloring books, sketchbooks, all the goods. You know the routine. Pretend you're in 3rd grade. There's TV. There's a big TV. Let me show you this TV. Okay, big TV. So there is stuff. There's not really a radio. You can bring a radio. We all have cell phones nowadays. Just pop on whatever station you want. You can listen to that. That said, all of that keeps you sedentary, in bed, barely moving around, with the only thing to do, walk around a hole, dragging a pole. For long term, you're going to lose your mind. Almost did. I might have lost my mind. When you see what I produced here, you may think I lost my mind. I don't know. We'll see. But the walls in my hospital room are a semi-gloss paint, which means they're very washable. And every hospital room I've been in so far has a whiteboard and dry erase markers. Do you see where I'm going with this? I don't recommend graffiti on the walls. I'll let you know. I got permission to do this. I did not just randomly start scribbling and graffitiing, tagging my wall. So don't do that. Do not grab a Sharpie permanent marker and start scribbling all over the hospital walls. Don't vandalize your room, okay? Other people got to be here when you're done. But if you can get a dry erase marker and permission, or even just a covered area that they don't mind you using, like get some cardboard paper, tape it on the wall, something like that. You can completely cut loose. Now, I'm very artistic, y'all. Surely, I don't know if you know this or not, but in addition to chickens, this videos, and eggs, and cooking, and I find all kinds of different creative outlets. I never could go without doing something with my hands, and I never could sit still with a flip. And they needed me out of the hospital bed. They needed me to start moving around. And I'm getting more and more depressed by the day. I'm crying. I'll be honest, guys, at one point, I was begging God. Screaming at the top of my lungs, begging God, heal me or take me. I can't live like this. Not another day. It was right back when I got my miracle. Only this time, there was no miracle. It was deal with it. Quit being a child. Quit having a tantrum. Quit yelling at your God, demanding that the creator of heaven bows down, comes to your whim, and does what you think he should do. When in truth, he's trying to develop a closer relationship with you. He's trying to teach you how to be strong. And he's trying to teach you that he has not abandoned you. He is with you, even when he's so hard to feel. And I'll be honest, guys, that was the most heartbreaking, crushing part of the entire experience. I could deal with missing my family. I've been away from my family before. We've gone on vents for longer than these 2 weeks I've spent in the hospital. I can recover my home if I need to come back and fix a disaster. But what I could not handle was feeling like my God, my creator, my savior, my healer, the one being on this planet that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, even as much as all my family loves me, cares about me more than anything else on the planet, that in some way I had done something to drive him away, and that I was alone. That feeling of loss, of separation from my God, I never want to go through that again. And that just grew and grew and grew the longer I was here. And it doesn't matter how many miracles you've experienced. It doesn't matter how many good things you've experienced. In that moment, it's all that matters. I said I wasn't going to cry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. But that was really hard. And I wanted to share that real quick. Remember, if you get to that point, he has not left you. He's with you. He's right there. And these nurses have been so wonderful. And they helped. And they gave me permission to do this. So I want to share it with y'all. It's not done yet. I've got a couple more elements I'm going to throw in, but I'm not sure I'm going to have time to get a video of it. So I want to show you what I've gotten done. And before I leave, I will get a snapshot. But I'm going to actually like walk you through what happened and let you see in my insanity and kind of bare my soul a little bit, I guess, to you. And I hope y'all enjoy it and don't just immediately unsubscribe. Please don't do that. I need subscribers. Please don't quit subscribing. Y'all have been amazing. Y'all have been very supportive and patient with me waiting for a new video, and I appreciate that. And I don't take that for granted at all either. But yeah, so let me show you this. Here it is. This is what I've got so far. And I'm going to walk you through how this happened. It started off with something so simple. Just came out of the way here so you can see it. It started off with this wrinkle in the wall. And you can see this is not a flat surface right here. There was an actual water ripple. And it became, in my mind, I'm sitting there and I could not help but see this rose. So this rose right here, that rose popped out. And as soon as I got that rose in there, this lizard came out. And there was another wrinkle in the wall, and it became a feather. And then that feather became, like, I guess, a luck dragon. And then I just had to put the snake in there. And we ended up with the songbird right here. And he comes back, and then I had to give him a nest and a branch. And then that branch became, I had to put a squirrel on it for my mom. And then that became the guy's hair. And then his outline on the side became the lady. And then the flowers came in here and in here. And her shape ended up creating the owl. Actually, let me backtrack. I think the cat came before the owl. So, like, it was actually this leaf right here became a fish. And it stopped originally right there. But then I saw the ear of the cat right in there. And brought that down. And then the feet in this corner became the owl. And came down. This is a lady. I tried to do a portrait. Guys, I'm not great at portraiture, but I was really just kind of going for her eyes. Her name is Alma's, and I gotta give you credit. Alma's, you are amazing. You brought so many smiles to me, and you took such good care of my room and worked so hard to get it cleaned up. And Alma wears a really cool headscarves. So I allowed the flower and the caterpillar to be a headscarf. And then as soon as I got the owl in there, my baby Chewbacca, see Mama, there's Chewy, as a puppy, he came in there. And of course, after the fish and the owl and all that, I ended up with this hummingbird. And that came out of the top of the leaf and this side right in here and the butterfly. And then I had to add the bee. And a donkey ended up coming in, and I put the woodpecker in there. And the woodpecker's ear is actually what became the donkey's face. And then I just extended the donkey on over. And you'll notice the mushroom came out of the donkey's back. My son requested a praying mantis, and one of my nurses requested a ladybug. And my daughter is a huge fox fan. And that all seemed to work in there really well. And then the fish. This is my Dr. Seuss fish call out. Hello, red fish, blue fish. And I love how my sister requested a turtle. But my sister is a huge gnome fan and gardener herself. So the turtle had to have a house. It became a shell house with a gnome and a garden around it. And then the bottom, the wing on the bird. Right here, I don't know if you can see this big bird. Right there is the wing and the tail. But the tail right here created this
and this angle. And that's what brought Cloudy, my kitty, out. His little paws. And I put him in the leaves, going across here all the way to Chewbacca. And once that got in there, there was the garden from the turtle formed the face of the horse, and that ended up extending with some grass that I had put in there. And then the turtle's leg looked like a beak and became the loon all the way down to there. And you can't have a loon without a gator, so that's an alligator right in there. And I wanted to put some more green foliage. I'm trying to stand, y'all. Give me a sec. That was hard. The foliage became the cattails. And I tried not to go over this, but this thing has never worked right anyway. They're going to have to replace it regardless. All of this, again, is dry erase marker and will come up. So there's that. And, of course, you can't have a swamp without the bugs. We're fixing to have shift change, so if people come bouncing in, that's why. I'm almost through all of this. Almost is presenting the pumpkin garden there. Got to get my pumpkins in there. And last night's incorporation, the empty tomb of Christ. And just to drive the point home was the dove. And I'll go ahead and tell you the last step over here in this blank spot. I had a request today from another housekeeper, and she wants to see an iguana. So right in here, I see an iguana on a branch, and coming up behind him will be a cross. Now, they might release me before I get further than that. If they do not, there'll be one other element incorporated, and it'll be down here. And it's going to be the biggest element. It'll come all the way to the floor and up. And it's going to be a giraffe. And the giraffe is going to be reaching up and licking at this. I don't know if you can see it yet, but this is the tree of life. This is my idea, my concept of the tree of life. I feel like such a heel. I said I was wrapping this video up, and then I thought of something, of course, because my brain's all over the map because I'm totally drug befuddled right now and emotional. But I want to give a call out. This hospital has an amazing chaplain organization. I was visited by 2 chaplains while I was here. My pastor came to visit me, yes, several times. A long drive from Joshua or Crowley to Dallas too. So I'm very grateful to him as well. He brought my husband up here to see me and brought me my Bible. So I've had my Bible to read and things like that. But in the meantime, there were 2 chaplains, Jordan and Cody, and both of them came to visit me. Both of them prayed with me without hesitation, and they were amazing listeners. They listened. They not only prayed with me, they helped me think things through and gave me some great insight and words of knowledge and wisdom and hope. But specifically, Chaplain Jordan, dude, you are so incredible. I'm really impressed. You guys have some of the hardest jobs on the planet. You have to go room to room and minister to people, some of them without hope, not even as much as I had. And y'all help them through times that I couldn't even imagine. And you have to keep it together, stay positive, keep your faith, keep your hope, and pray for them and theirs and their peace. And do it all with such a gracious, amazing, giving heart. Chaplain Jordan even went out. Now, I'm here with my Jeep, guys. My brand new Jeep is parked out in that parking lot for 2.5 weeks with no supervision. Just so you know, this particular hospital planned to pay for parking. It's $5 a day. But I got lucky. I got lucky. And I found like one of 6 spots out of millions of parking spaces, or thousands of, however many they've got. Multiple parking garages, multiple open parking field areas. I found one of 6 locations
Just so you know, those locations are just outside the main entrance of the Children's Hospital. You have to have handicap parking. There's not many of them available. I caught the last one. My vehicle has been parked there ever since. There are no signs limiting the time of parking. The only limitation is they are restricted for handicap parking. But again, they're right outside the Children's Hospital main entrance, not the emergency room, main entrance. So in those handicap spots with my vehicle being parked there, Chaplain Jordan took the time to go downstairs, check on my vehicle, verify that everything was safe and sound with it, and that it didn't have any like toe tags or stickers or scratches or vandalism. All my ducks are still there. All my stickers are still. It looks fabulous according to him. And it was a huge moment of relief for me to know that that was okay. And it's funny because if God can get me out of here, guys, he can surely get my Jeep out. If he can get me out, he can get me out with my Jeep. Okay, so I don't even know why I was worried, but human nature stepped in, and I spent like 3 or 4 days at least when I was starting to come out of it after the surgery, like, where's my Jeep? Is my Jeep okay? Is anybody mess with my Jeep? Are they going to tow my Jeep? He went downstairs, checked on my Jeep, called me from the parking lot, gave me a full description of my vehicle and its condition, state, and where it was at, and encouraged me to know that it was okay. And then he came back the next day without being asked, just to check on me and see how I was doing and say goodbye because he knew I was going to get out of here soon. That is amazing. You people at this hospital, I hate Dallas. I'll be honest, I don't like this town. The traffic is terrible. The roads are horrible. Y'all need to quit working on stuff. Finish it, for God's sake. And I hate coming into Dallas. But the staff here, above reproach. I had problems with one nurse. One. In 2.5 weeks. One. She was a pretty big problem. That said, they got her switched over to somebody else within 10 minutes that was really good and took amazing good care. I just keep saying that word. Great care of me and made me feel comfortable and got me my meds on time so that I wasn't constantly fighting the up and down pain battle. That's a deal. Like, you get your pain under control. You want to keep it under control. You don't want to have to start all over on brand new meds and try not to do anything in the meantime. Keeping up with your meds, it's pain meds. Don't feel like you're a drug addict because you need pain meds. And your nurse shouldn't be procrastinating because she doesn't think it's as important as something else that she's got going on. The only complaint I have about the staff here, only complaint, and it's not even the staff's fault. People, we need medical personnel. If you're interested in a new career, please consider medicine. Please consider nursing. They need help. They really do. They have 6 or 7 patients per nurse. Considerable number of them in critical condition who need constant care. I've seen multiple nurses sitting by the bedsides with patients holding their hand, just trying to help them through the moment. Every moment for days on end. These nurses are strapped. I don't think they get paid enough. I don't know how much they get paid. I don't care. It's not enough. Okay? That said, the compassion and the love that it takes to do that job, these people are my heroes. Nurses are my heroes. Do you want to know who my heroes are? Medical personnel. That's who my hero is. Superman may be able to fly, but these women, they can do it. They can do so much more. They can impact you on a personal level that is really deep. And they can make such a huge difference with just a smile. Just walking in your room and smiling. And these nurses have consistently done that. They walked in one time, I was bawling, crying, completely out of control. Drug-induced bullshit. Pardon my French, but that's what it was. And that nurse came in and put his arms on my his hands on my shoulders and stood there with me until I calmed down and told me it was going to be okay and helped me through that. I'm not sure I would have got through that hour had it not been for that person, that individual. Just one nurse, one smile. Nurses, y'all are great. You're my heroes. Thank you so much. Now, to the rest of you, I like to wrap up my videos with a call out. Please continue to be my subscribers. Please encourage other people to check out my channel and try to learn as I learn and grow. Please hit the like button if this video has been helpful to you, and share it with anybody you think that could use this information. And thank you for watching. See you later, y'all.
Thought I was done. I'm not quite done. Follow up actually on the last video. I got home safe and sound. Everything was going great. That was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Notice I'm back in a hospital room. The feeding tube was going good at first, but then it got to where I couldn't tolerate it. A lot of that was because I tried to up the amount, the volume per hour so that I could have some freedom. And that may have been a mistake because I'm back in the hospital again. I was home for maybe 4 days. Had to go to Fort Worth. They transferred me from Fort Worth back to Dallas. So I'm now back in Dallas. But on a positive note, I'm back in Dallas, great hospital, and the nurses have been doing their usual job of excellence. And I'm recovering well and hopefully won't be here much longer. But it does provide me with a timely opportunity to not only do a post follow-up, but to go ahead and incorporate in this video, since I was kind of still editing it and getting it together, to show you a more typical feeding tube IV setup, as well as an option that doesn't involve graffitiing walls for creative outlet. And yeah, so let's get to that. With the pole, this is a more typical pole setup. So this is what you deal with if you don't tie stuff up, is all of this spaghetti. So remember to tie it up. What we did was we just took and looped it over these. I'm not going anywhere right now. I'm just going to plug right back into the wall, so I'm not going to worry about that. But what you're going to be dealing with is your feed, which is about to be replaced, the water bag, this is the water bag I was talking about, and your IV. And you'll see you've got the 2 pumps and 2 cables and 2 hoses coming off of those going to you. So that's why you need to tie all that stuff. I did not manage to come up with one of my little hookies this time, so I'm having to use the rails and all, which is not as effective, but still works and gets the job done. So I decided while I was here that I wanted to bless somebody. Like, there's not a whole lot I can do right now to be a blessing, but I figure that if I can just make one person a day smile, then goal accomplished. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just while I'm in here, make my nurse smile. Just at any point during the day, get a smile. And I found that they really like my artwork, which is kind of cool because I really like producing it, so it works. So I've been getting like sheets of paper and asking everybody that comes into my room, whether it be a PCP, a charge nurse, or my regular nurse, what is their favorite wild critter. Now, a couple of them couldn't think of a wild critter, so we ended up with a couple dogs on here, but let me show you what we got so far because I'm kind of proud of it, and I think it's kind of neat. They were talking about how they've been learning a lot about each other because they didn't know like what each other's preferences and stuff were either, so they're learning a new fun fact about each other, but also I'm learning about them, and it kind of helps me remember them in a little bit better, way, I guess, and somehow. So what you can do is you can just take typing paper, and if you've got some colors on you and stuff, and just draw and color it in, and then just tape it to the walls. Add some color to your room and variety, and makes the place a little bit brighter. So it's an option to drawing directly on the walls. You can draw on paper and then tape them to the walls. Why not? Either way, you're getting art and color on the walls, and that's kind of the point. I don't usually do a whole lot of self-promo stuff, but my nurses keep telling me I should try to sell some of my paintings and things. Speaking of art. So real quick, I'm going to show you some stuff that I've got that's actually for sale. All of these pop-ups that are about to come up here are 16 by 20s, hand painted from nothing. All but one, which I'm not showing yet because it's not finished. But the ones I'm showing are all acrylic. So they're acrylic on canvas. And if you're interested in one, shoot me a message, comment, make a comment, and we'll get together and see where we go from there. I don't have an Etsy shop or anything like that, guys, yet. Sorry, I'm not that advanced. I'll get one eventually, but for now, yeah, you're probably the only people that know about it. Wrapping it up. One starving artist leaving for the day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking till the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Comment, share, like, subscribe, all the goods. Love y'all. Bye for real now.